That's right, everyone. 11 After 9 has exhaust microphones. I'm Derek. Welcome to 11 After 9, my new YouTube channel where I discuss everything Porsche, whether it's my own cars, the cars I drive, or the latest news in the Porsche world that might affect ownership. I am so honored to present what is essentially my favorite Porsche I've ever driven. This is the crown jewel of any Porsche I've owned. It's my 1972 911T in Albert Blue, slightly hot modded, but boy is it a driver. I am so excited to share it with you folks today. We have some fantastic driving video, and as I mentioned, we have some microphoned exhaust sounds to really pipe in what it feels like to be sitting in the driver's seat. This will be the first of many videos you'll see over time on this channel of what's essentially one of my favorite Porsches of all time. And I have owned quite a few. Those of you that know me from Enthusiast Radio or my other videos know that I have many decades of Porsche ownership under my wing, and somehow this 50-year-old car captivates my attention every single time I get in it. Please hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow, and it also ensures that you're going to be the first to know when I upload my next Porsche video. So for context for all you folks, this is the first generation of Porsche 911, the 911T, called the F-body or the long hood. This was built up to 1973 and a half. My model is a 1972 model, and Porsche 911 in 1972 came in three flavors. The S, which was the hot-rodded cam version, the 911E, which was known as an excellent all-arounder with great torque figures and the ability to eat up many miles, and the 911T, which was, coming off the factory, the least powerful of the three, 911T standing for touring, but an ultimately usable car, and many people think that it might have been the best of the bunch because of the cam profile and the ability to both be economical and a ton of fun. So let's start on the exterior first. As you can see, it is in stunning Albert Blue. Folks, this is my absolute favorite color. It took me years to find this car because I think Albert Blue is both classy and exciting at the same time. I think on the shape of the F-body, it's kind of like James Bond. It looks very buttoned up in its tux, and yet when you get in this car and you drive it, it is anything but boring. Albert Blue was offered specifically between 1970 and 1972. It's considered a rich, non-metallic dark blue, kind of described somewhere between navy and medium blue. It's actually seen a resurgence in recent years as a paint to sample color for many of the new cars. I've seen quite a few GT3s in Albert Blue, and God, are they gorgeous. Believe it or not, it was named for a picturesque town on Italy's Adriatic coast. Albert Blue sits amongst many other amazing blues, including Glacier Blue, Gulf Blue, Oxford Blue, and the famous Gemini Metallic Blue. But being completely biased, I think that Albert Blue sets itself apart. The 1972 model in general is considered to be one of the more interested and sought-after 911s because of its quirky external oil flap, or Ollklappa. It was unique to only 1972, and it has a fantastic story. Because of the weight distribution in a Porsche 911 at that time, most of the weight was hanging out over the rear tires, and so in order to try to bring a balance into the weight distribution, Porsche's idea was to move the oil tank for the motor more inboard of the rear wheels. And what they decided to do was add a separate oil filling door on the passenger side rear haunches where you could, after you change the oil, fill up the oil tank and be able to check your oil levels as you saw fit. Makes sense, right? Fantastic idea. Well, the problem was many people, when they went to go fill up with gas, had a gas attendant not understand where they were supposed to put the gas. They'd open up this oil flap door and put in 10 or 11 gallons of gasoline right into the engine oil. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, this was a major problem for Porsche, and that is why it only lasted 1 year as a design feature. It's cool though, it's quirky, and it is one special and collectible reason why 1972s are considered to be pretty cool. I personally love the contrast between the Albert Blue and period correct wheels, the chrome trim details, and those beautiful timeless curves that make the early 911s one of automotive history's most beloved shapes. So this wolf in sheep's clothing is actually hiding a little surprise, because under the rear deck lid, instead of a 2.4 motor that originally came with the car, this car sports a slightly later motor from the mid-70s in a 2.7 liter offering. I decided to leave the 2.4 badge because the car does look fairly period correct, and I kind of like the fact that it's a bit of a sleeper. It's all go, no show in regards to advertising to other folks on the street. In the US market, the 911T came from the factory with roughly 140 horsepower. The E version had about 165, and the S was the real burner with 190 horsepower. The E and the S had mechanical fuel ejection, but the T was carbureted except in the US where it also used MFI. In my case, you can see that the motor sports dual Weber carbs to give it that extra grunt, and boy does it add to the overall sound experience. Though I haven't had it dynoed, my butt dyno tells me that this 2.7 motor probably puts out somewhere in the 180 to 200 horsepower range. It's not going to set your hair on fire, but it is very visceral and it has plenty of mid-power punch. This is not original paint, but it was painted quite some time ago, and I have spent a lot of time trying to pull out some of the dents and dings that it's acquired over the years before my ownership. I did put a ceramic coating on it, and I think that you'll see in this video that it really makes the paint pop. You'll also have to forgive me for the multiple Enthusiast radio stickers I have in the rear quarter window. I was testing out some new designs over the winter to see what we might be able to hand out to you folks who listen, and I just haven't been able to change those out yet. One more word on styling. I think this is perhaps the most seminal shape when it comes to 911, and I think it really touches people when they see this car. I can't tell you how many people come up to me at every gas station when I'm filming to say how much they love the car, how beautiful it is. Even when I was filming this car, I had multiple people pull up to me and tell me how beautiful it was. Now, that's not the reason to own it, but I think why I'm sharing it is it really resonates with people as an aesthetically beautiful shape that somehow manages to be both pretty and masculine at the same time. And of course, again, with the Albert Blue, I think that certainly adds to it. So let's step inside the cabin here. Now, this is not a purist vehicle. As you can see, for those folks that might be eagle-eyed in knowing the interiors of the early 70s and late 60s 911s, you'll notice immediately that the dashboard is from a later car. This was done by a previous owner, and quite frankly, I think it really looks nice. And I don't necessarily think that the speaker grille in the middle of the dash is something that I really needed to have for originality. You can see also that it has an upgraded Momo steering wheel. I did switch out the shifter knob when it had finally given up the ghost for a beautiful beech nut knob. It does have aftermarket seats, and I was able to source some beautiful houndstooth carpeting for both the floor in the front as well as the rear parcel shelf. Overall, I was trying to go for a minimalist elegance when it came to this car. This interior is not about luxuries, it's about pure driving focus. You can see that the analog gauges, they deliver straightforward and crucial information. When you sit in the driver's seat, you're really just looking at a tachometer. It's all about the road in front of you, you as the driver, and that tach telling you exactly what the engine is doing. But to be quite frank, and we can get into it when we talk about driving impressions, you really don't have to look at the tachometer because the car as a whole is vibrating and is buzzing, and you can feel where the motor is. And it is so talkative and so communicative that the tach is really just a nice addition. But I do love that giant center tach, which Porsche has carried over into even the most current generation, even though it is, of course, on a screen. It's just such an intimate connection with the car. But when you look at the interior of this car, you're kind of transported directly back into this golden age of motoring. In comparison to modern vehicles, the purity and simplicity are refreshingly authentic. It's a cabin that lacks the buttons and switches and knobs and screens. It's you and the steering wheel and 3 pedals. Now, if you do look down by the handbrake, you'll notice 2 levers. One is a idle advance as the car warms up, and the other is just a heater control. And talking about pulling that heater lever is going to bring me right into the driving impressions. Some of my favorite memories in this car are breaking it out in early spring just after the salt is off the roads here in New Hampshire, or in the late fall when it is chilly, and as you're driving you should be wearing a hat and gloves, but pulling up that red handle actually floods the cabin with an incredible amount of warm air, but it's warm air that is straight from 1972. It's tinged with a smell of oil, and it just has that warm, wonderful smell of pure mechanical bliss. My partner on the podcast, Will, says that whenever he got out of his 69, he always felt like he was wearing play clothes because he would smell ever so much of oil whenever he got to a destination. I love that. It connects me to a former time of walking into my grandfather's garage and just smelling the oil that had soaked into the floor. It's so foreign and yet so familiar, and it really takes me back. I could talk for hours about my driving impressions of this car, and certainly over videos in the future, you will come to get to know this car as well as I do. At least that's my goal. But essentially first, let me just tell you that of every 911, and for that matter, every other model of Porsche, This is the one that I feel most connects me to the road. It is a complete sensory experience. Of course, the sound, which you can hear, and I hope you're wearing headphones or really turning up your speakers. The sound is otherworldly. It's a cacophony of mechanical gnashing from the back, and it turns into this unbelievable chorus as you get to the higher RPMs. The car very happily sits between that 5,000 and 6,000 RPM range where it really sings. The vibrations you feel through the shifter knob directly link you to that motor. You know where you're at any given time without ever looking at the tach. You can shift by feel without any issues whatsoever. You can even feel it through your butt as the whole car is really vibrating with you. It's not uncomfortable, it's just as if you had plugged yourself into this car and you are part of the car. The steering is directly connected to those front tires. There are no multi-link suspensions, there's no softeners or dampeners to change the feel of what the road is doing. You feel every bump, you feel every expansion joint. Here in New Hampshire, you feel every frost heave, which is both good and bad. But at no time do you ever not understand exactly where those wheels are and what they're doing. This is, of course, extremely important when you're heading around some hairpin curves here in the New Hampshire countryside and making sure that you can rotate the rear end of that car around and knowing that that front end is not going to push. The steering wheel dances in your fingers. You know, if you look really closely in some of the driving impressions I have in this video, you'll see that my hands are shaking with the steering wheel. Some people might say, well, Derek, that's just the car's out of alignment, or it shouldn't be doing that. No, the wheel is dancing because the road is dancing. And having that feel tells me everything I need to know. Can you consider it exhausting to drive this car? I guess so. I mean, I've driven it for 4 to 6 hours. I've taken it on hundreds of miles in an afternoon and have gotten out without any issues. But I do have to admit, when I compare it to my 981 Boxster, which is just the smoothest, most beautiful experience in traveling over distances, that you do get fatigued because you're at such a heightened level of awareness. You are in this car and you are 100% driving it. And just like anything, whether it's downhill skiing or an intense game of tennis, when you're done, you feel slightly wrung out, but boy, you feel refreshed at the same time. So we've covered the sounds of the motor, the feel of the shifting, the smell of the oil, and I have to say that just looking out through that very kind of flat upright front window over these two beautiful blue pontoon fenders as you're heading around some beautiful New Hampshire roads, especially in the fall, it is refreshing, it is good for the soul. This car just makes you happy. It is a happy car. People are happy when they see it, and you are happy to be driving it. It has nothing to do with flash or look at me. It has everything to do with people recognizing and you recognizing that this is the very top of classic motoring. So certainly you can hear the excitement in my voice when I talk about this car. I truly love it. And I think that every Porsche owner should consider owning a classic Porsche such as an early 911. We can get into prices in another episode, and prices can be crazy with these depending on the vintage and the quality of the car you're looking at. But as an aspirational car, as a car that you would love to have in your garage, it is absolutely something that you should look forward to owning because it gives you something that nothing in the modern Porsche lineup can give you. A true sense of the vision of motoring that Porsche conceived. So for this video, what I would love for you to do now is enjoy a few minutes of me driving through New Hampshire countryside, exercising my 1972 911T, and enjoying the hell out of it. Please comment down below. I would love to hear what you think about this car, and expect more videos both on this car as well as quite a few other different models that I'll be driving over the next few months. Models from Macans and Cayennes to Panameras to 944s to GT3s. And if someone in New Hampshire or Boston has that 911 Dakar and can give me a go, I'd be forever grateful. But until then, please subscribe, and I want to thank you all so much for watching this video.